Hello, we are officially live. Welcome, everyone. As you are joining, say hello. Let me know that you are here. Let me know how you're doing. This is day 2 of the Healer's Paradigm. So if you are just tuning in right now, there's a day 1 and there's also going to be a day 3. So I'm really excited for this workshop because we are literally walking through the path of what it means to be a healer. And so in day 1, we talked about the calling and how it all starts for us, right? And it starts in different ways, but it literally starts when we first hear that calling to be a healer and to know that there is a different path for you and that you were meant to walk this path and that you have gifts that you were meant to share and how that all starts and saying yes to that calling, right? Today we're talking about the connection between your gifts and your healing journey. And I'm going to be talking about why you actually don't need to be fully healed in order to be a healer, why it's actually important that you're not fully healed to be a healer, how your own personal healing journey is actually what brings forward your gifts, and actually really talking about what it means, like what does it mean to be bringing your gifts to the world, right? Like what are your gifts? Answering what are your gifts and helping you to understand how those gifts become developed. And I'm really excited because I think that for a lot of people, and I know for that for me, like the term gifts has in the past felt really kind of like ambiguous in a way and kind of like what does gift even mean, right? So I want to really be able to define that for you and differentiate it from abilities. And what, to me, when I think of abilities, it's the clairs, right? The clairvoyance, the claircognizance, all of that. And so like those actually aren't the gifts that we're talking about, but they're related. So I'm going to share more about that and how your journey actually brings forward your gifts and how you're meant to bring that. And then tomorrow for day 3, we are going to be talking about the clarity and actually getting that clear vision and that clarity around how you are meant to be actually stepping out into the world as a healer. Like, what does that actually look like for you? Because being a healer is such a broad term and there's so many different directions that we can take the healing gifts and healing abilities to support other people, whether you are a musician, whether you are a writer, whether you are a coach, whether you are anything else in between, this is the way in which we bring our healing gifts into the world is very diverse, very unique, and it's important that it's like that. So, we're going to talk about all of these things. And like I said, if you haven't caught up on day 1 yet, you can go watch that after this. And in day 1, I actually talked. I had a past client of mine and who's a friend of mine, Jen, joining me and sharing her perspective of walking the healing path and sharing her perspective of what it means to be a healer and how she's brought her, like how the path led her into her work that she does today with the divine feminine. So all amazing, exciting things. I cannot wait to get started. Yay. Hello, hello. So excited to have everyone joining. Hello, Domenico. So excited to have you here. Okay, so let's get started. And I'll first start off by defining for you what a gift actually is. And essentially, what a gift is, it's the way in which you bring forward spiritual energy through you, through the expression of you, in order to create transformation. Okay, it's the way in which you are bringing forward spiritual energy to create transformation. Okay, and one of the things that I also want to start off by saying is that every single one of us has the ability and has the connection, has the channel to be able to bring through spiritual energy, right? You have the ability to bring through spiritual energy, whether it's directly from source, God, the divine, right? From the universe, however you think of it, and also from your guides, from the angels, from ascended masters, right? How they work with us to support us. So there's a lot of different ways in which we can work with spiritual energy, and the way in which you specifically do that is really dependent on what you resonate with. It's really dependent on what you feel called towards. It's really dependent on how you desire to bring forward that spiritual energy. So that part right there is so unique and so different for each person. There's no specific right or wrong way to do it. It's about doing it your way and allowing yourself to be led in the most aligned path for the highest good that you're meant to be doing this. Okay. So when it comes to your personal healing journey, like your personal path, let's just make it, just super clear, like your personal journey, the journey that you walk as a human, the challenges that you go through as a human, the life experience that you go through, right? The life experiences that you go through. When we learn how to bring in that healing spiritual energy into our everyday life, right? So just going through everyday normal life, normal challenge, like whatever challenges, I don't say that they're normal, but you know what I mean? Like challenges, all those things. And we learn how to actually work with spiritual energy, and we learn how to bring in that energy through us in different ways, which I'm going to talk about the different ways in which we can do that and different ways in which that happens. So I'm going to share about that. We're going to get there, how that actually looks and how we can start to do that. And I'm going to give you some tools in terms of how you can start doing it today. Okay. So you're going to walk away today with the actual know-how, like a practice to start to do this and start to bring this online for yourself so that you can begin to develop your gifts. Okay. But when we start to bring in that healing spiritual energy into our everyday life, right? Into situations, different challenges, whatever, that's when we start to actually bring forward and develop the gift, right? Develop the gifts that our soul has come here to bring. And so practicing your own personal healing, not only does it help you to just feel better, right? Like if you're experiencing anxiety or fear or, personal like her health issues, that's what I want to say. Health issues or any other challenging situation for yourself. When you bring personal healing for you and you go through that process, not only do you feel better, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, but it also opens you to who you truly are, right? Whenever we overcome any sort of challenge, like the actual process of overcoming a challenge, like I said, any life, life can throw us in all sorts of different loops, right? But whenever we overcome and or the process, even not just like when we overcome it, but the actual process of moving through something, working through something, healing from something, it opens us up to who we truly are, right? That's part of the reason why being a human, you can't really avoid like, I wish I could say that, okay, as a human, if you do this, you can then live a perfect life and not have to deal with any challenges or situations or whatever, but that's just not the case. Part of the reason why we are here as humans is to experience these situations and experience the challenges so that we can grow, so that we can remember who we are, so that we can develop our gifts and develop our strengths and develop our truth. That is part of the reason why it's all there and why this happens. Okay. So when you go through this, not only are you, like there's so many different ways in which we can support our own healing, right? There's like the mindset work, there's different practices, there's different, when it comes, you can go in the direction of like nutrition and supporting ourselves that way, right? There's so many different ways to do this. But when we're talking about bringing in spiritual energy and working with energy, working with spirituality to support our healing, that's where we go on a deep, 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 deep level, right? That's where we get to access the soul level shifts that need to happen. That's where we get to access the healing from past lives, from karmic energy, from like doing soul retrievals, right? Like all these different ways that allow us to go deeper in our own energy, right? And there's nothing wrong with the different other modalities that exist out there, right? Like anything from you as basic as like how I eat and like the nutrition side of things to the mindset work to affirmations and whatever, all of these different ways. But there's something about when you bring in spiritual energy to support your healing that really like goes on a deep level. Like it really like penetrates on a deep level. You know what I mean? Like it really like goes deep, deep, deep into your energetic system, into your spiritual being to support and bring forward a long lasting transformation, and that really elevates you, your soul's experience, and who you're meant to be to that next level, right? And I truly believe that in this era that we're living in right now, like where we are right now as a collective, this is part of the work that we must do, right? There's no more like surface level, like let's just sweep everything else under the rug and just like let's just like make sure that the surface level is good, right? Like it's like the difference when you're cleaning your home, when you're just like picking up or just like tidying and putting things away versus doing an actual deep clean. Like the surface level, like let's just tidy up and put things where it goes, like that's great and it feels good and you're like, okay, like the home is is not chaotic anymore and it's clean and it feels, fine. But when you do an actual deep cleaning of your home, like how good does that feel? Right? The actual deep cleaning of your home, you can feel on a deeper level. You're like, this house is clean. It's not just tidy, it's clean, right? So that is, a really great analogy with what the difference is when we do actual like deep spiritual energetic healing and support ourselves in that way, right? Like that's the deep stuff. And that can be really felt and really expressed and really supports us in such a different way, right? So that's the big stuff, right? And these are the big shifts, the big things that we go through in terms of our own personal transformation that again leads us into who we truly are. It leads us into it brings forward the leadership that we are meant to hold, especially as healers, right? Assuming that you're watching this because you identify as a healer or as someone who desires to be a healer, and you're trying to figure out like, how do I actually start that path? How do I walk this path? How do I navigate this journey of being a healer, right? And so as you move through this, like it's one of those things where you get to uncover and you get to unravel the leadership that you truly hold. Because I can pretty much guarantee you that you're like in this moment, it's almost like you don't know exactly how powerful you really are. Like you really are so powerful. And you have such a deep level of leadership that is within you, that is ready to come forward, that is ready to be expressed. And I'm sure you can feel it, especially if you have any sort of like vision or any sort of kind of like feeling or knowing or calling towards bringing healing to other people, to be of service, to make an impact in the world, right? Like, even if you don't know exactly how, right, or what exactly it looks like, you just know that that's what you want to do. And that right there is a key indicator that you have amazing leadership skills within you. You have amazing healing gifts within you. And so, this is the conversation today about how we can actually start to bring these forward and how do you develop those gifts and how do you develop who you truly are and how you're meant to bring that forward. And the answer to that is your own personal healing journey, right? And so that's why, like, living as a human, you become the best version of you. Living as a human and going through your own unique challenges and in situations and whatever it is, it develops you in such a way that no one could prepare you for it in any other way. You know what I mean? Like you could talk about it theoretically all day long, but it's like until you actually are living life and you're going through that real life situation that that asks you to draw on and bring in that spiritual energy to uncover your true self, to support you in whatever it is that you're like who you're meant to be and leading you in that way. Like you can't theoretically prepare for that, right? You can't study your way into it. You have to actually live it and experience and do it, right? So these shifts that we're talking about, practicing and knowing how to work with the healing spiritual energy is going to be the key to guiding you and supporting you into that unfolding, right? In the way that you're meant to be strengthening your gifts, supporting yourself, and shining in that truth, shining in that light. So like I said, as you go through this, as you live life, as you experience different situations, different challenges, you are becoming a better version of yourself, and you are getting better and better and better at leading yourself through those kinds of things, which then supports you and strengthens your capacity to do this to support other people in this as well, right? So again, your own healing journey, um your own breakthroughs, your own challenges and situations and how you overcome them are directly connected to the gifts that you're developing to then be able to support other people, right? And so it's kind of like a side by side path that you're walking. On one hand, you are going through your own personal healing experience, right? Overcoming situations, challenges, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the other side, you are bringing forward these gifts and this leadership to others to support them as well, right? And they go hand in hand. So I think a big misconception that people go through or that they experience is that kind of having this feeling of imposter syndrome that's like, well, you're not fully healed. You haven't figured everything out yet. You don't know all the things, like whatever it is. So who are you to be a healer? Who are you to be leading other people? Who are you to, put yourself out there as a guide or as a mentor, as a coach or whatever the thing might be for you to, as kind of like someone who has a solution, who knows it all or whatever. And like, who are you to be doing that? Because you still have to figure stuff out for yourself. Like, you're still figuring this life thing out, right? We have this perception that healers have it all figured out and that we have to have it all figured out for ourselves before we can be a healer, but that's just not true, because healers are also humans. And if you're a human, that means that you don't have everything figured out. Like, that's just the reality, right? As a human, you are learning and healing and growing your whole life. And so, for me, it's something that I'm very aware of, that it's like I have stuff to figure out my whole life, right? I don't pretend to know everything, but the things that I do know from my own personal experience and the things that I have overcome myself, I am very confident in being able to guide others and support others and being able to do the same thing, right, for themselves, and empower other people to be able to figure out what that looks like for them. So that's a huge part of this process, is that as you lead yourself, you're learning how to lead others too. And that's the development of your gifts. Okay. So the next thing that I want to share, and I'm going to check in with the comments in a second because I see that there's a question there. So I'm going to check in just a second. But the next thing that I want to talk about is really showing you how this actually looks like, right? Like, so how does this look like? Like, okay, great. We can, bring in spiritual energy to support our own healing, but what does this actually look like? And then after that, I'm going to talk about how you can actually start to use this to support your own, like, development of your gifts, right? So if you're here and you're like, what are my gifts? I don't know what my gifts are, or I don't know what that looks like. That is going to get answered for you today. So we're going to answer that. Okay. So let me just check in with comments real quick. Let me know if you guys have any questions up until this point. And as always, if you are on the recording, you can always ask your questions in the comments below. Okay. So hello, everyone who is joining in. So happy to see you, Anthony, Sylvia, Megan. Um, Yay. Okay, let me see. Questions. Let's see. How do I know it's really angel energy and not a personal thought slash or even a will? That's a really great question. One thing that I'll say is that I do have a podcast episode that's coming out that's going to answer that. Okay, so I do have that coming. I think it's next week. But to answer you right now, the first thing is that it's really about the practice. So your practice with connecting with angels, your practice in knowing, like being able to discern between between your intuition, your higher self versus your ego mind, is something that takes practice, right? So that's the first thing that I'll say. The second thing that I'll say is that when it comes to like angelic energy or guidance that comes through versus our own like thought or feeling or will, is that the angelic energy, or like, even, we can even take it more general to guidance from the divine as a whole. that feels more kind of just like neutral and matter of fact versus our personal thoughts or feelings will have a tone to it that feels a little bit more kind of like okay, I got to do this, right? Or based out of like, let's say, like fear of missing out, like this is what needs to happen because if I don't, then whatever, like I'm going to miss out on something, you know what I mean? Or there's even a sense of, let's say, like trying to be in control. So there's this feeling of like, I got to make it happen, and it's very subtle. So it's not obvious all the time. Sometimes it can be, but it's not super obvious. And that's why learning how to practice just connecting with the angels so that you have an understanding for yourself what that energy feels like for you, right? So the more that you practice connecting with the angels themselves and learning what that relationship feels like for you is then going to be very informative for you when it comes to discerning your own personal thoughts or feeling and your will, you know? And that's everything that I teach inside of the Angelic Healer program. Like, that's literally a huge part of this. Like, the Angelic Healer program teaches you how to not only develop your connection and ability to channel the angels, but it also helps you to really be confident in that discernment and be confident in understanding like what's mine, what's not mine, what's coming from the divine, what's not, like all of these things, right? So that you can like go out into the world and feel confident and empowered in that connection. But the number one thing is practice. It's definitely practice, practice, practice. And that's a huge thing that I went through like at the beginning. It was like constant like practicing tuning in, practicing connecting and channeling for other people and developing that relationship with them so that now it's like boom, I know exactly who's coming forward to support each person, you know. So that's a really great question. Hi Jen. Good to see you on here. Okay, let's see. Love the piece about matter of fact info versus more emotional when learning to discern. Yeah, definitely. And there will still be moments, where it's like so subtle that I've had moments where I have thought that I was like angel guidance versus like, oh no, that was actually my ego. You know what I mean? Like it happens to everyone, but you get better and better and better and better and better at it at over time. Yes. Aw, thank you. Yay. I'm so glad that you're here. Awesome. Okay. So let's talk about how this actually looks. Okay. How this actually looks, this practice of using like calling on spiritual energy and using your ability to bring in healing spiritual energy to support you in moving through key life moments, okay? Or, whatever, key challenges, situations, like anything really. It doesn't have to be like big things. It can be smallest things. It could be the biggest things. Like every inch of our life and every inch of our experience as humans gets to be supported by this healing spiritual energy. And the more that we practice doing this, and the more that we, just do it and connect with it and learn our way with it, that is how we develop our gifts. And something that I always talk about when it comes to healing and being a healer and understanding how your healing abilities and gifts are meant to be brought forward, I often compare it to that of an artist, right? Like if you think of an artist, right, there's a techniques of how to draw or to paint or to sing or whatever, right? But it's like every artist has their own unique way of doing it. They have their own unique, like, whatever, like, signature, technique of how they do paintings or whatever the thing might be, right? Like, if you think of famous artists, like, you can immediately identify, "Oh, that's a Van Gogh," because, like, of the way it's made, right? And so it's the same thing with our healing gifts. The way that they come through is gonna be so unique to each and every single one of us, and those are the ways in which like, that's what makes us all so unique and what makes everything so powerful for each of us because it would be pointless to have a million replicas of the same thing, right? Like, The world needs diversity. The world needs your unique way of doing this. And the only way you can find out how that is for you is by going through this and doing this for yourself. Okay. So, how does this look? Let's answer that. The first one is by directly channeling and receiving messages from the angels about your next steps, right? Like, or calling on them and really like practicing being in the practice of calling on them for support, calling on them to lead you, calling on them to guide you, calling them to support the energy, right? To support whatever transformation needs to happen for you, whatever situation that you're trying to move yourself through. And I've done this countless times in my life in different scenarios, different situations, not just related to like business and like, okay, what's the message that I'm meant to bring to other people? That's one way, but that's not really a challenge. That's just like, how do the angels want to be expressed, or what is the message that they want to share for the collective? But for me personally, right, that was something that I called on a lot and like really used that when I was transitioning from corporate into, full-time work. It's another thing when I was, leaving a past relationship, and it was just like the dismantling of that and really coming into myself and who I was meant to be, and really calling on the support of the angels to support me through that entire process and to guide me when it came to my personal healing that had to happen and the next steps that I had to take throughout that process. I like channeling and connecting with their energy and really allowing them and their messages to lead me when I what decided that I was going to move to California, right? Like all of these different situations in my life where, that has nothing to do with business, but that really supported the growth of me and who I was meant to be by by knowing how to channel, tune in, channel, receive their guidance, by being able to literally in the moment be like, okay, Archangel Samuel, Archangel Michael, please support me in this moment right now. Show me what I need to do. Help me to say the right thing or do the right thing or whatever the situation was, right? But in the moment, being able to call on them and tune into them and being like, okay, what are we doing here? Right? Like lead me, help me, guide me, you know, I need that strength and I need that support. And to be able to be in that space where you're in the real life situation, but you're also tuned in and you're like, okay, that's like Archangel Michael is literally standing right here and he's guiding me and he's supporting me and he's showing me what I need to do, right? Like that kind of thing. So that's one way that this looks like literally like that calling in, feeling their presence right here next to you, and and them helping you and you following their guidance to move through whatever situation, whatever challenge, whatever thing is coming up. Another way that this happens, in which you are able to work with this spiritual energy, bringing in that spiritual energy to support you, is with the development of the connection between you and your higher self, and helping you to feel the empowerment of your own creative energy flowing through you, right? So this empowerment, feeling empowered within yourself, your creative energy, your creative flow, your ideas, your own truth, and how that stems from your higher self and how connected and embodied you feel with your higher self. I remember very clearly this going through this for myself back in like 2019. It was beginning of 2019, where basically, for me, the unfolding between me and a past friend, where, it was a very disempowering friendship. And like finally coming to a place where I saw that, where I saw how disempowered I really was, and moving myself, leading myself through the process of reconnecting back to my higher self. Like I was very disconnected from my own truth and from my higher self and all the things, like for me personally. And so it took that work to build that connection with my higher self, build that connection, that trust with myself, right? Because it was basically, me being in a place where it was like I couldn't even think for myself. It's like, "What do you think? What do you think? Like, what should I do?" Like that kind of thing, right? And instead, it's like, no, like this is about you really trusting in you and being able to allow that creative energy and flow that desires to come from your own being, your own soul to lead you and guide you and to support you. So, that connection with your higher self and learning how to bring that energy in. Like, I would literally do a practice every single morning where, once I realized, like, oh, I'm so disconnected from my higher self, where I would sit in bed and like call on the energy of my higher self and like feel her coming in. It was like I had to like reel her back in, like, let's come back here. I need you, right? Like, come back, right? Until it became something where it felt like she was right here with me, not like somewhere over there. That feeling of disconnection. It's like she's here with me and really being in the practice of empowerment within me, within who I am, right? Within my thoughts, my ideas, my creativity. That was a huge, huge, pivotal moment in my journey. Then another way of how this looks, of how you bring in spiritual energy, healing spiritual energy to support you is when you are pushing up against your own edge. Basically, when you're pushing up against your own comfort zone and pushing like the growth and like the evolution and really, like I said, coming up against an edge because we all have the free will to choose something that feels comfortable and safe. But with comfortable and safe feeling, the perception of this is safe, this is comfortable, this is familiar is often not connected to growth and evolution and healing and all of those things, right? So when we choose to follow a path that pushes us, right? That really pushes us past our comfort zone, that really makes us meet our edge. Let's put it that way. When it helps us to meet our edge, when it like pushes us past the edge and we have to, kind of confront our own self and learn how to move into whatever space it is that we desire to move into. It's scary. It's very scary. It's very, vulnerable, intimidating, like all of these things that we experience doing that and going through that. It's a real thing. And yet when we choose to do that, and by the way, if you're choosing to follow the path of being a healer, you're basically choosing to push against your own edge, right? Like that's the reality of it. You're pushing against your own edge. Um to really evolve into the greatest version of you and to really evolve in terms of becoming a better version of you, then it's like that process in and of itself forces you to dig into the deepest parts of you to find that deeper sense of power and to find that deeper sense of trust and connection to yourself and connection to the greater divine plan and unfolding. So for me, I remember this like one of the key um moments where this stands out for me is moving from Canada to California. And that was a huge thing because I didn't know anyone in California and everyone was like what are you going to do? How are you going to how are you going to know people and figure things out and aren't you like afraid? And it was like, yeah, but like this is a calling that I have to follow. And it was a huge like pushing me to the like way past my comfort zone, right? Like literally having an Airbnb booked for 3 weeks and being like, I'm going to figure it out from there, right? Like that's how it happened. Booked an Airbnb for 3 weeks and then figured out from there. But that really pushes you to like past your comfort zone, right? Like I literally remember having a moment and I shared a YouTube about this like when that was happening back in 2019. Um that wait, or was it 2018? I think it was 2018 actually. Yeah, 2018. That's when it happened. So, however long ago that was. Um like not having a place, like my Airbnb booking was ending and I hadn't found a place yet and I was kind of in that scrambling like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening. I have this rental car that I also have to like the rental is ending at the end of the day today. It was like this whole thing. But it really pushed me into the trust from the angels and from the divine in terms of how guided I truly am and how the divine solution is there, even if it comes at the 11th hour, that kind of thing. But these experiences are what build our resilience. These experiences are what build our strength. They build our power. They build our sense of faith and trust in something greater than us and in ourselves, that we're capable of handling things, right? And so being pushed up against your edge is something that you're going to meet over and over and over and over again, especially as a healer, especially in this work where, in whatever way you are feeling called to bring healing and light and love to the world, you're going to be met with resistance from other people, right? Like that, I think is a thing that it's not. I personally have not seen this, so or experienced it myself, but it's like I have yet to witness someone who is following their soul's calling and their purpose, and that it's like an easy ride, that no one says like, "What are you doing? What do you think? Like, why don't you just go get a regular job?" or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, why are you trying to like do all these things? And that's, I think, one of the biggest parts of this as healers is truly um knowing, meeting, developing our resilience and developing that strength and developing that power, right? I think that's one of the key things too to take away from just knowing that you're walking this path of being a healer, and learning how to be a channel for spiritual healing energy to move through you in whatever way it desires to be expressed through you, right? There's different ways that it comes through. It doesn't have to be directly like, this is the message that's coming from Archangel Michael, and like this is what I'm going to share with you. It like spiritual healing energy comes in many, 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 many different forms that that are need to be expressed in so many different ways. It comes through words, it comes through music, it comes through art, it comes through different experiences that we bring to life, right? We are the creator. We are the ones that bring these things to life through our thoughts, through our ideas, through our the actions that we take, all of these things. So all that to say is that you'll be pushed against your edge as a healer. Like, don't be surprised about that. That's going to happen over and over and over again. And the key thing for you to know is that you have the power, you have the resiliency inside of you to meet that edge and go beyond it, and then go push against up the next edge, right? Like the next edge is going to be there, and it'll continue. And this is part of our evolution. This is part of our growth. This is part of what we have come here to do. Because if we don't push against those edges, then we're not changing the paradigm of society and of the collective, right? This is why this whole workshop is called the healer's paradigm, because we are literally at the forefront of leading this new way, right? We're at the forefront of shifting, we're at the forefront of healing, we're at the forefront of developing a different way of experiencing life and of being, where it's not something where, we numb ourselves, and it's not something where we just like meet the status quo and we're just like going through life, just not experiencing the full spectrum of fulfillment and joy and love and connection that we get to experience, right? As a healer, you are on that path of saying, no, like I'm not meant to live just a normal life. I'm meant to live an extraordinary life. And in you choosing that for yourself, you're also leading the way for other people to choose that for themselves, right? Like how the ripple effect and liberation happens, is because the more of us, the more healers that are following this paradigm and following this journey for themselves and cracking open past, really tough situations and challenges and whatever the thing is, then the more that we then hold that frequency or that code that exists just within the collective as a whole, which means that more people are going to begin to tune into that and tap into that, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like even have like a huge platform that reaches millions of people. It's not even about that. It's about the fact that your being and your consciousness exists in this reality, in this collective. And so that means that whatever your personal experience and challenge and healing and transformation, what you go through, it directly already affects the collective, right? The collective already feels it without you speaking a word to anyone. So that's what I mean by that. And so it's not about like, okay, how can I like reach millions of people, unless that's what you want to do, of course. And of course, that by all means, like that's part of your journey. But like I said, being a healer comes in so many different shapes and sizes. You could be a healer living your life as, working, whatever kind of like place or just career or whatever, where it doesn't necessarily impact by volume, but it impacts by the quality within your relationships and within the work that you do there. You know what I mean? And then from there, that's still adding to the ripple effect. From there, it's still supporting the overall shift of consciousness that we have come here as healers to initiate and to bring forward. I truly believe that this generation of healers that are coming through now that are like, yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. Yes, I want to live differently. I want to be more spiritual connected. I want to know how to live in connection with that divine healing spiritual energy that exists, right? That as we do that in whatever way that's meant to show up for you in your life, like I said, whether you are talking to millions of people, whether you talk to one person, like it doesn't matter. But you living in that experience influences the collective, which I truly believe is going to set up the next generation um, for like a whole different experience of life. I really believe that out like this generation of healers is setting the stage for the kids, right? Like the children that are being born today. So, this hits really close to home because I have two young children who are right in that generation where my hope, what I feel, what I see, what I truly believe is that they'll get to like when they're grown up, they're going to be in a whole different experience and a whole different level of what it means to be in the spiritual connection and relationship with the divine and how that is expressed in the world, right? But it takes that collective effort. That's why healers are being called forward. That's why we're being called forward, and it's our job to be like, yes, yes, me. Yes, I'm saying yes to the calling. Yes, I'm going to follow that path. Yes, I'm going to do what I've got to do, what I'm called to do to bring in this healing energy into my life, to live in this connection with the healing energy, the spiritual energy that surrounds me, to become a better version of me, which then develops my gifts and how I'm meant to show up so that I can influence and be um an agent of change for the people around me and whoever's meant to be impacted by my work. You know what I mean? So this is where we're going with this, right? So next thing I want to talk about is how you get to start doing this today. How you get to start to actually connect with a spiritual energy, how you get to start to develop your gifts, because again, I've been saying this over and over again, and really want to go into this. Like, your gifts are, it's the unique way in which you bring spiritual energy through you and the expression through you, right? How you bring that energy in to create transformation, and it starts with the transformation that you bring into within yourself, into your life, that develops those gifts, right? So we're going to talk about that. Um let me just catch up on comments, okay? So let's see. I've had experiences like that with friends as well, but did not have these tools or this awareness back then. Yes, totally. So much healing has come from looking at those experiences retrospectively and using the tools now to see how they were gifts on my journey. Yes, 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 absolutely. And I totally believe in the concept of divine timing, right? Like, divine timing is a huge thing here. Where and this is the beautiful thing about these different tools and the ways that we can connect with spiritual energy, is that we can then go back and heal past experiences too, right? Like inner child work. If anyone has done inner child work, or learn about it or whatever, like, this is us healing past experiences when we were children. We didn't have these tools or this know-how when we were kids, but we have them now, and we still get to go back and heal that, right? We get to heal past trauma, past pain, past experiences. And this is all part of you developing yourself as a healer. You know what I mean? And so in the development, whatever comes up for you in that moment, it's something where as you're faced with whatever the situation is that you are meant to heal in that moment, it further brings forward more of who you truly are. And the more that there's more of who you truly are here at the table that is lights on, right? Like let's go, ready to go, the more connected, more empowering, more transformative those gifts become. I truly believe that for me, like comparing myself to when I first started doing this work to now, I definitely can see how my gifts and my abilities and my connection has shifted and changed and transformed over time that has made me a better coach, a better mentor, a better healer, a better friend, a better everything. You know what I mean? Like it just changes who you are, but it doesn't change you in a way that's like away from your truth. It just changes you in a way where you become more of who you already were, you know? So I have definitely seen that in the way that that light and that truth is expressed through me. And I say this all the time whenever I'm talking about, specifically like your voice and your expression and your truth, like go back to my old videos. Go back to like any of the archangel videos that I share on my channel here, and you'll see how different my voice is. You'll see how different I am in my expression of my truth of who I am. And it's like that the only way that that happens though is because I walk the path, and because I didn't wait until I was better at speaking or more confident in my voice or like had a stronger voice to share these things. I did it, and I became that version of me by doing it. You know what I mean? And that's why you don't have to be fully healed. Like it's required for us to not be fully healed to be a healer. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me keep reading the comments, and then we're gonna keep going with how to actually start doing this today. Okay, so my edges were nice and comfy and padded and invisible. Yes, before connecting to my role as a healer. Now I get to sharpen the knife. Yes, I love that. You are so brave. I aspire to be that fearless in my faith and abilities. Ah, thank you, Domenico. I appreciate you. Okay, so question, especially in regards to leaving a relationship. Okay, I'm just gonna skip down to the question. Is it possible that the angels will wait until one has completely left the environment they fully connect? They come in a slight energy. I know there is deeper. Okay, hold on. Has completely left the environment until they fully come in. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So you mean like, oh, okay, I answered your question. Okay, cool. Great. Perfect. Awesome. But yes, I think based on what we just talked about in that development of um how over time it just gets stronger and better, right? I think that's what you were talking about. But yes, I'm glad that I answered your question. Yay. Okay, cool. But as I was saying, that's how I feel. Sometimes I doubt if I have what it need, if I have those gifts to help others. Yeah, I totally hear you. And that's part of this work is that development of your confidence and your trust in everything that's already here, everything that's already here. And that's the biggest thing. You hear people say you have everything that you need, like you have everything inside of you already exists, everything that you'll ever need, it's already there. And it's true, but sometimes we just need help to open that up and help to really see the true perspective, right? Because sometimes we're looking at these things from a perspective that from our old identity or what we're used to, which is often disempowered or not worthy, not good enough, etc., whatever. So part of this work too is that you are seeing your own self from the truth. And the truth is that you are worthy. The truth is that you are powerful. The truth is that you are capable. And so being able to see it from that perspective takes work and time, etc. Right? That's why there's different ways out there. Like, for example, one of the things that I offer, the Angelic Healer Certification Program, is to help you to really embody that perspective of truth as you develop your gifts, as you expand in terms of your connection, in terms of how you deepen that connection. So you're not just deepening it, but then you're like, but I doubt this whole thing, right? Which really wouldn't go hand in hand anyways. We deepen our connection as we develop that deeper sense of trust. And sometimes it takes having that person who sees you for who you truly are to then be able to see yourself for who you truly are. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I think, been one of the most powerful experiences for me personally, working with different mentors and coaches along my journey, and through my work as a mentor and coach and healer, to help others to really shift that awareness and shift that perspective within themselves. And that's one of the things that I love, 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 because for me, one of the biggest things, and again, I've been through so many, like, you name it, I've probably experienced it in some shape or form, but like, I've been in experiences where the, like, mentorship or coaching experience was not empowering, where it was like, I felt like I couldn't trust myself. Like, my trust was actually, like, going lower and lower and lower and lower, because it felt like that person knew better than me or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's something that I've because I've been through it, I'm very, like, aware of that, and that's one of the key things for me when I am working with my clients, is that I'm like, "You are the powerful one." Like, I am too, but you are. And I don't know better than you. I want you to, like, I help people to dig into their own empowerment and their own truth, and that's how you develop that confidence. Do you know what I mean? So that's one of the key things that I'm always like have at the top of my mind as a mentor and as a coach, as a healer, is that I want you to find your own power, and I'm here to help you do that. Right? I'm here to help you to be a mirror for you to your own power, to your own strength, to your own trust and everything that exists there. So I think that's one of my favorite parts about be doing this work, is that it's not just like, okay, here's the information, like, see you later. It's like really in that development and that bringing forward what is actually truth. And you know over the years I've become really good at it. So that's one of my favorite things about this. Okay, so let me see. Oh my god, I was just noticing your transformation in your videos last night. Had to listen about Archangel Raziel. So much truth and confidence now since you have become more authentically you. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a natural evolution, I feel like, It's not like I was necessarily trying. I wasn't like, trying to become a different version, because you can't really even see that difference until you look back, right? Like, until you're actually looking back in hindsight, you're like, "Oh, wow, like that's been a transformation," you know? But it's just naturally happened. And so the same thing with your gifts, the same thing with your abilities, the same thing with everything of who you are and how you become this version of you. It's part of this work, right? That would not have happened had I not been doing this work that I've been talking to you guys about, right? My own personal healing through these different ways, different practices. Okay. All right. So let's start. Let's talk about how you can actually start doing this today. Okay. How do you start doing this today? So the first step that you're going to do is you're going to pick an ability for spiritual connection. And what I mean an ability, it's any of the clairs, right? So if you like, when you do meditations, when you do if you listen to my videos, like the archangel videos is a great example. At the end of each archangel video, I lead you through a little guided meditation. So if you have not done that in a long time, or if you're not really sure, go do one of those videos, do one of those meditations, or any other ones that you like, and just notice how you perceive energy, how you perceive information. So is it your clairvoyance that is the strongest, right? And I'm pointing to my third eye right here. So is it your clairvoyance that's the strongest, meaning that you really can visually see the colors or the energy or whatever? Is it more through a feeling, like, so you experience the feeling in your body, whether it's like tingles in your body, or a feeling like emotional as well? That's included in that feeling energy. Is it more of a perception of hearing? Do you hear? Right? Do you hear guidance? Like, if you're walking down the street and like you hear your guides, or you hear the angels, you hear that voice, or maybe you hear an internal voice, which is your higher self. that kind of thing. Or is it more of the knowing? Like you just have this knowing, like you just know that this is what's happening, right? When you're in meditation, you know that like the energy is coming in right now and is doing this thing around you or whatever the thing might be. So those are all the different abilities. So you're going to pick an ability that's your strongest and you're going to use that for your spiritual connection. Okay. So going back to one of the questions that was asked earlier about knowing how do I know it's really angel energy versus personal, it's like this is another way that you can really hone in on developing that relationship with the angels is use your strongest ability. So if your strongest ability is your third eye and you are really good at like visualizing and seeing, like you see the colors when you're doing a guided meditation or whatever, like that's the way in which you're going to use that specific ability to develop this spiritual connection. Okay. So through that ability, so we're going to use clairvoyance as the example. So let's just say it's like through the vision, colors, etc. Like you see things, right? Like the images will pop up in your mind's eye and that kind of thing. So you're going to use that with your spiritual connection. So you can use it one by calling on the angels specifically. And I teach this inside of the Angelic Healer program. Start with picking one angel, like one angel or one guide or one ascended master, whoever you want to talk to, whoever you want to connect with, like one instead of the general like collective, because that's actually going to make it more hyper focused and more clear for you your connection and your specific relationship with that angel. Okay. So you're going to choose that. You're going to call on them to support you. You're going to use that ability to also um, be discerning in terms of guidance and in terms of next steps that are shown to you in regards to any sort of challenge or situation that you're going through, right? So whatever kind of thing that's on your mind right now that is can be considered a challenge, right? Or considered something that where you're pushing yourself against your edge. So whether you are trying to grow, let's say, your business, or whether you're trying to you know, like there's changes happening in your relationship, right? As an example, maybe you know that maybe this is a time where like time for this relationship to end and we got to go our separate ways. So whatever, like any kind of situation that you're going through that feels challenging, that feels like, okay, like I could use some divine support here. This is how you're going to practice bringing in this spiritual healing energy into your life to lead you through the process and lead you through the situation. Okay. So you're going to use, in this example, your clairvoyance to support you in that way. So you're going to call on the angels to guide you. You're going to tune into your higher self and ask your higher self to really be with you and tune into that energy and tune into that presence. You're going to allow yourself to really be led through this process rather than using just your logical thinking mind to, say, okay, this is what makes sense. This is what I should do, right? XYZ, blah, blah, blah. It's like, be led, allow the spiritual energy to lead you. And when things come up for you that have you questioning your worthiness, that have you questioning whether you're capable of this, that leave you feeling defeated, you're going to use your ability to call on and bring in that healing spiritual energy into you, into your being, to then help you to work through those specific challenges, right? So whenever we go through any of these situations, any of these examples of life, right? There's often a moment of like, am I actually good enough for this? Can I actually do this? Am I actually ready? Right? Like whatever the thing is, and it's the development of a deeper belief in yourself, the development of your trust in yourself, the development of this sense of like, I've got this, right? Empowerment. Use your spiritual healing connection to help you develop that. Okay, not just the mindset work that's like, let me just like think about this, but actually using spiritual healing energy to support you. Okay, I promise you're gonna be mind blown of how much of a difference that makes for you, rather than just like, not knocking like any other techniques or whatever, but really allowing yourself to be led with the spiritual energy and giving yourself the chance to show yourself how connected you truly are and how powerful you truly are, and the magic that comes when we call on this spiritual energy and you using your abilities to do that, right? It's more than just the prayer. Like, yes, the prayer is important. The prayer of God, angels, universe, please show me the way. Please help me to know this, that, whatever, blah, 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 right? But it's the actual, like, the utilization of your spirit, your ability, your spiritual abilities to connect with energy in this way, in whatever form it desires to come in through you to support you with this process, is going to be the key. Okay. And then the way that you end up leading yourself, and this is where, again, this is going to be so unique to each person. I can't just tell you this is what's going to happen. Like, this is the thing. Like, I'm telling you as best as I can, but from there it's like a framework that I'm sharing with you, right? And from there you get to fill in the details. You get to fill in how it actually happens and how it actually unfolds. So the way that you lead yourself through that whatever challenge or situation is, it is going to that, like, this is what's going to be developed as the gift that you give to others, right? So the way that you lead yourself, the way that you receive insights, the lessons that you learn, the overall experience of who you become on the other side of this is the gift. It's the gift, right? So the way that I have, for me, developed my process with my teaching, with my mentorship, with my channeling, right? Like, the way that I even, guide people through the channeling work that I do and the coaching and all the things, it is something that is a gift, right? Like, my way of mentorship, my way of teaching, my way of doing all the things is the gift, right? But it developed through my process of leading myself through different challenges and situations, because I got to know myself and got to know the leader inside of me, which then allows me to become hold that leadership energy for other people and hold space for other people too, and to lead them through their journey, right? But it's also one of those things where as you develop that, like, that's the art right there. You know what I mean? Like, that's the art that I've been talking about. So I didn't learn my way of coaching or mentoring or channeling because someone else was like, "This is how you do it. This is the script that you say when you're on a call with someone," right? Like, no, that's not what we're gonna do. That's too boxed in. You gotta let yourself be free in how you do things, right? You gotta let yourself be free in finding your own way. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I have learned in so many different aspects of my journey, not just as a healer, but also as a business owner and just everything. It's like, you've got to give yourself the freedom to know that your soul has the wisdom. Your soul has the wisdom. Your soul knows, right? So, everything that people teach out there, all the different topics, all the different ways of doing things, it's like they provide a really great framework and guideline and guidance and all the things, but at the end of the day, it always comes back to you. It always comes back with taking whatever information and, like, placing it in your heart and being like, is this for me? Is this the way? Like, how can I take this and then tweak it to be mine? And that's, again, the one of the biggest things that I always constantly remind my students as we go through the Angelic Healer program. I'm like, this is a framework that I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you a framework. I'm teaching you the process. I give you step by step. Like, I literally am like, okay, step one, when you're going to do a journey, this is what you do. And then you do this and do this, blah, blah, blah. And then you lead yourself through the journey. This is how journeying works. This is how angelic healing works, like, whatever, right? I'm giving you the framework. But then I also say, but allow this to just simply be the structure. Fill it in for yourself however you want it to be, or however you're led through it, really is how it is, right? Like, let the details be filled in by your own soul, by your own divine being, because your divine being knows better for you than I know for you, right? Like, I can only teach you the framework, but you get to fill it in because you're the artist. You're the artist of your of your gifts, of your healing journey. You're the main artist. You're the star of your journey, right? And so when we can take frameworks and use them as kind of like guideposts, but not have that be like this is the only right way to do it, but instead we allow it to be fluid and flexible and to really be molded towards how our spirit truly desires to be expressed and how our spirit truly desires to bring through this spiritual healing energy. That's where the magic happens. That's where you really grow and expand as a healer. That's where you really start to align and follow the path of your purpose, right? As a healer, into the calling that you said yes to, but you were like, okay, I'm saying yes, but I have no idea, right? So that's the key thing here, and that's I think one of the most beautiful parts of this journey is the mystery and the uncovering and unfolding of that mystery, right? But I gave you the framework, I gave you the guidepost, so that's why I think finding people, and I know that I'm not the only one out there, but I do know that the way that I work with people and the way that I bring this energy forward is special. It's unique. It's powerful. Where, like I would say probably at least 50%, if not more, of the students that have gone through the Angelic Healer program then go on to do things that are, of course, connected to spirituality and connected to energy and all those things, but it's not necessarily only focused on angels, right? Like it's called the Angelic Healer program. And I've honestly debated, I'm like, should I call it something else? Because like it's not just angels, like people can work with any being, but whatever. I've always been guided to just keep it as angelic healer. So we're just doing that. But it's like the gateway. It's like the opening to so much more, right? That's how I see it too. It's kind of like this is the beginning, but if you keep your mind open, if you allow yourself to really be led, you can go into so many different directions that are so fully aligned with your true purpose in your truth. And I love that Jen is on here in the comments. If you didn't see day one yesterday, Jen was with me for day one, and she's a beautiful example of that, where it's like the calling that she's stepping into as a healer is related to the divine feminine and that whole piece and that work. And it doesn't mean that the angels aren't supporting her, but like learning this work and the framework that I teach led her to that. I don't even think that she knew, like when she stepped into this, she wasn't like, I'm going to do this so that I can be a divine feminine healer, leader, that kind of thing. It's like, I like no idea. But that's where it led me. And I think that's the beautiful part of this process too, is that it really leads you into more than you could have ever expected for yourself. And I know that that's how that happened for me too, where it was like when I started to practice this work, at first I wasn't like, I'm going to be an angel channel and this is what I'm going to teach, this is what I'm going to do, and like blah blah blah, right? It was literally more of a let me practice tuning into this spiritual energy and connection, because that's what feels good to me and that's what I intuitively was led towards, right? And I was working with a mentor at the time who helped me to, again, she held the framework for me to be able to then explore this on my own and to really fill in the details for myself, so that then it was like, oh, that's what I'm here to do, and it's one of the most beautiful things, because I think that when we're led into whatever the path is meant to be for you, without any expectations, in that fullest surrender that we can possibly be in as humans, we still like to have a little bit of control, but as much as we can surrender, then it will lead you into the path of your highest good, and it will lead you into your true purpose and impact that you're here to create. And so and this is the journey. You must go through your own personal healing journey as a way to develop your gifts by practicing your abilities, right? You're practicing your abilities in order to develop the gift, right? The gift of however that expression of spiritual energy is meant to move through you. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the gift is how the spiritual energy is expressed in whatever form, whatever way. Words, right? Like speaking, writing, music, art, creation of things, right? Bringing communities together, bringing people together, like whatever the thing is in whatever direction. But it's through this process. Okay. And like I said, the Angelic Healer program was created to support you with that. It's not just a program that's like, okay, this is the thing. And like now go, you know, be a clone of me or whatever. It's not like that. It's I want you to be the fullest expression of you, your unique self, because it will always lead you to the greater calling, the greater purpose that you are here to serve. Okay. So let me just finish up on comments here. And and you, when you left and took the leap of faith, it truly came in. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Anthony, totally. Oh, this is so good. Our signature as a healer comes from first leading ourselves. So good. Yes, it absolutely does. Absolutely. You are so welcome. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jen. You're amazing. And you're gonna watch this on the replay. But let me know if you guys have any questions right now. Okay, let me know if there's any other questions regarding what I shared, or regarding you, where you're at, your journey, all the things. Right now, what I want to move into real quick to like before we end today is just sharing more about the Angelic Healer Certification Program. You've heard me talk about it. It's starting very, very, very soon. And like I said, like this is the program that really brings to life, that really brings through where you get to come alive in the gifts, in the truth of who you are, right? By practicing your abilities, by developing them, by opening up to the different abilities. But then truly, it's through the process of applying it in your real life situations and applying it in different scenarios that you really bring your gifts online. And that's then where the clarity comes through. And that's where the next steps come through for you in terms of your path and your journey as a healer. So all of that is what we do and work through inside of this program. So this program is broken down into different kind of components. So the first part is that there's actual trainings where I'm teaching you the framework and I'm teaching you the different things and I'm giving you practices and exercises and whatever to like, okay, let me start developing this skill or this ability, whatever the context is of that specific module, right? So there's 10 modules in total. There used to be 8. I've added 2 more because just over time you see patterns and you recognize the things that need to be said that maybe haven't been said or fully explored. So 10 modules, okay? And so the training is that like the technical, like this is the thing, framework, practices, etc. The other part of this is that you have the mentorship and the coaching, which is where we then kind of bring like I don't want to say theory, but kind of theory meets real life, right? Like this is where real life stuff happens. Whereas you start to do this, or as you start to get ideas, or as you start to expand in terms of your connection with the angels, you're like, oh, I'm realizing that this is something that's supposed to be part of my journey. And I feel really scared right now. And I feel very anxious. And this is happening. And I don't know what to do. And blah, 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 right? Like we all go through those things. And so that's where I feel like the power of the mentorship and coaching side really comes in, because you know that you're not doing this alone. You have someone to lean into who can support you, guide you. And again, my job is not necessarily to tell you what to do. It's to help you to create and find the solution within yourself. You know what I mean? Which can be hard when we are in our own emotions and all the things, right? Like, again, like I said, the value of mentorship and coaching is really, really powerful in the situations when we can have blind spots to our own stuff. The things that block us, or the things that we're where we are getting in our own way. So that's where you really get to learn, not just from the coaching and the guidance that I provide, which again, it's like through sharing my own experiences, but also the channeling that comes through, right? So I am channeling for you as well, and guiding you through whatever. But then it's also you're learning by like witnessing. You know what I mean? Like learning through observation is huge. So to be able to really like observe and witness how I do these things and then also be a receiver of that, it really helps for you to then form your own way as well. So that's another part of this program. And then the third part of this program is the practicing, like actually sitting down with me. So you get to practice with me one on one, you get to practice with the other students in the group, and you get to actually like practice the channeling and get confident in that. The only way that you're going to become confident in your ability to channel, in your ability to heal, is by practicing. Like I've shared with you guys, I forget, maybe was it earlier in this call or yesterday? I don't remember. I've shared it so many different times in so many different videos. But one of the first things that I did at the very beginning of this was that I would go into Facebook groups and say, obviously the ones that are related to channeling and healing and whatever. And I'd be like, okay, everyone, like I would write a post. I'm channeling like angelic guidance. So post a comment below, or whatever. And people would post, I'm going through this situation, or this is what it is, or what message do the angels have for me, or whatever. And I would tune into each person and I would practice like who's coming forward. Okay, Archangel Jophiel. Archangel Jophiel is saying this. And I would practice my clairaudience by like sharing, like I would literally put like quotation marks, like this is what Archangel Jophiel is saying. And I was practicing, right? Practice, 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 practice. So I'm giving you the opportunity to really practice in a safe space, a non-judgmental space, and also the opportunity to receive feedback. So these are some of the things like I've really for this round have really looked and assessed at what is needed and where maybe other programs are lacking, and what are the key components that truly develop a confident healer and leader. And so this is another part of it. So these are all the different components that exist within this program. And so each week it's a little bit, different, whether it's a training module or it's a coaching call or it's a practice session. So that schedule is something that you receive once you sign up, but it's something that where we meet weekly, and it's one of the three things. One of those three things is what we do. Right. And then aside from that, you also get a one-on-one session with me. You get one-on-one coaching from me, from not just like the session itself. The session itself is something that is really powerful in and of itself for you to support you. But then also like throughout our time together, you get that continuous coaching and support and feedback and all of the things. So one of the ways that I like to do this as well, aside from the actual calls that we have, is I actually have a group chat that we're going to have together. So literally we are at each other's fingertips, which, obviously you don't have to check messages all the time, but if it's for you that you're like, I need some support right now. I need some guidance and I don't really want to wait until our call. Like let's say our call is on a Wednesday and on Thursday something goes down and you're like, I don't want to wait until next Wednesday and to be able to get guidance on this. That's why I have the group chat. Like to me, to be connected, to be able to have these conversations, even to just be able to go into the chat and be like, oh my gosh, like I just had a channeling session with Archangel Michael and whoa, right? Like to be able to share that with someone. Like how many people right now do you feel comfortable sharing that with, like your spouse or your friend or whatever, right? Maybe, hopefully, I'm hoping that, at some point they'd be like, that's awesome. But a lot of the times, it's like the people around us aren't really going to get it while we're in the development of it. They'll get it afterwards, right? And they're in your life for a reason, but it's like while you are in the learning and in the development of it, it's really, really powerful and empowering to have that close-knit connection, aka me and the people in the group with you, to celebrate you and to understand like, oh my gosh, you connect with Archangel Michael, that's so cool. Right? Like how many people can you talk to about this kind of stuff? um so that is another part of this. So there's a lot of different components that, again, I've been running this program for several years now. So over time, I've just been making it better and better and better and better and better and better. So I really am so excited for this round because it really brings in so much of these key elements, key aspects to really tie it all in together, and developing this for you in different ways to support you in your development in different ways so that you can really, really, really follow the path that you're being called to follow as a healer, where it's no longer just like, well, maybe one day I'll do this. It's like, this is who I am. And this is how I get to show up in my life as a healer. So you show up in your life in whatever career or pathway or job or business or whatever the thing is for you, where you know that you're meant to be and how you desire to shine and how you're being led to express this spiritual energy through you, right? For transformation, it comes through in the most beautiful, authentic, empowered space. So you're not questioning yourself. You're not like, what do I do in this situation? Like, I don't know. I feel doubtful, whatever. You know how to lead yourself through it. This is the power of this work. So I'm going to share the link for the Angelic Healer Certification Program inside of the chat. It is also in the description below this video if you're watching me on the replay. So go check it out. If this is calling to you, if you're like, yes, 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 I am lit up by this, go check out all the details, claim your spot, come join me for this round. It is going to be incredible. Like literally just beyond anything you could have ever imagined for yourself, and what is ready to be lined up for you, what you're ready to step into beyond this, beyond anything you could imagine. Okay. So the details are there. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me. The best way to reach out to me is through social media, like DM, or you can reply. Like if you're signed up for the Healer's Paradigm emails, you can always reply directly to one of those emails. It goes directly to me, or you can use the contact form. Those don't go directly to me, but I will be notified if there's a question about the program that I can answer directly. Okay, so that goes to my assistant who checks the contact form emails, but I will be aware. But those are the ways that you can reach out to me if you have questions, if you're considering this, if you have anything that's on your mind that you want to hash out and kind of see, because I know that this is a big commitment. It is a big commitment for you, energy wise, financially, like all the things. It's a commitment. So I totally understand you. Like if you're like, I don't know, like this is a big commitment. How do I know for sure? You can always reach out to me and talk to me. I'm not the kind of person who's going to be like, you have to do this or else, right? Like I'm going to hear you out. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to see what is what and if this is truly the right program for you. So, if you have those kinds of thoughts or questions, reach out to me. Okay? I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to really help you to feel into what is the right decision for you. Okay? So, that is all that I have to say for today. I cannot wait for day 3 tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow is all about the clarity, right? And the pathway to true freedom and soul fulfillment. How to take your gifts that you're developing through your own um, journey, like we've talked about today, how to take those gifts and bring them to life in a really applicable way, right? Like how you're meant to actually bring this forward as a healer, right? Like what does that look like? What does a path ahead actually look like? Right? So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Cannot wait. I will see you there. And until then, I am sending you all so much love, so many angel blessings, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.